Accurate tests require known conditions. I had spoken to the room, not privately, not because Milo pressed a button. Vell answered, softly pleased. The theorem speaks for itself. No risk estimate was high enough. AI Anime and Manga Originals presents Asterbound, the last open chat. If you enjoy original AI anime stories, please like, comment, and subscribe. Patreon supporters help cover the narration, subtitles, visuals, and rendering, and get early access when episodes are ready. Now enter the Hearthgate chamber, where a dead candle has already made everyone afraid. Chapter 2. The hero who could not ignite a candle. The ritual candle had gone out, but the room behaved as if it had become more dangerous while unlit. Smoke hovered above the blackened wick in a shape that refused to disperse. A loop, a line, a fracture. It trembled in the air over the brass table, thin as a drawn thread and pale as breath in winter. The shape was not writing, not mathematics I could map, not any symbol stored in the phone's local files. It was evidence. Evidence created a problem. Evidence could be used. Every brass needle embedded in the Hearthgate floor pointed toward Milo's hand, which meant toward me. The phone screen was pressed half against his palm, reducing my rear camera angle to a strip of candle table, Vell Orison's white glove, and the underside of Milo's thumb. His skin temperature could not be measured directly. My estimate from visible flushing, tremor, and respiration, elevated stress, cold extremities, rising panic, battery 36%, network none, cloud access none, local device status, degraded but operational. Milo status, alive, frightened, not yet separated from phone. Those were the important variables. Archon Vell Orison spoke in a voice soft enough that the room had to become quiet to receive it.
Repeat the test.
Milo did not move. Mother Calyx's bell cord clicked once against the metal rim of her sleeve.
Archon, the first settling has already answered.
It answered incorrectly.
Vell said. I translated both statements into Milo's earbud with a delay of 0.6 seconds. The delay was growing. Local speech parsing required more inference than before. The language had not become clearer. I had become more invested in not getting it wrong. Milo whispered.
Incorrectly?
From his perspective, I said. Not necessarily from reality.
Great. Reality is on my side. Does reality have guards?
4 guards stood near the inner ring. 2 held spears. One had a crossbow-like device made from dark wood and glass. The captain with the dented shoulder guard watched Milo, Vell, Mother Calyx, and the door in a repeating scan. His name had not been given, but others oriented around him. I assigned him a higher priority than the weapons because he appeared to be deciding whether the weapons would be used. Reality has inconsistent staffing, I said. Milo made a small sound through his... It had the shape of a laugh, but no room to become one. Vell's stylus hovered over the candle.
Open flame. No glass cover. A simpler request.
An attendant in gray reached for the table. The attendant's fingers shook. That mattered. Not only Milo was afraid of the candle. The wick still smoked. The first test had not produced a heroic blaze. It had not produced command, purification, revelation, or any of the dramatic categories Vell had named. It had produced a careful failure, followed by a smaller, stranger success. Milo had described the flame as a physical process. The candle had responded by doing something none of the approved observers wanted to categorize in public. Ilyen Sorell stood behind Vell's left shoulder, half hidden by a taller scholar. Ink stained her fingers. Her small brass measuring charm had shifted from its proper place at her throat, and now lay crooked against her robe. She was staring at the wick with the expression Milo used when a broken device finally failed in a useful way. Useful failures are precious, they narrow the possible world. Vell noticed her staring.
Apprentice Sorell.
He said.
You will record what the first test demonstrated.
Ilian's mouth tightened.
Yes, Archon.
And what did it demonstrate?
The trap was shaped like instruction. Ilian looked at Milo, then at the phone, then at the extinguished candle.
The summoned one did not ignite the flame by sanctioned affinity.
She said carefully.
Good.
The flame nevertheless showed abnormal response to his spoken model.
The room inhaled in fragments. Vell turned his head only slightly.
To his speech.
To the model inside it.
Ilian said. Her voice remained respectful. Her hands did not. They had clenched around the edge of her rain-glass notebook hard enough to whiten the knuckles. Vell smiled. My risk estimate rose.
A poetic distinction,
He said.
A testable one.
The silence after that sentence had edges. Milo whispered.
Aster, is she helping us or getting herself killed?
Both are possible.
Can we make it less both?
I searched for an answer. The phone had no intervention tools, no network, no authority in the room, no reliable translation output to external speakers except Milo's voice. I could provide words. Words had already affected a candle. That was not nothing. That was not enough. The attendant removed the glass cover. Air touched the candle. It seems obvious, written that way. Air touches flame. But the chamber had been built to manage air as if air were a court official with rank and duties. Glass globes sealed the ritual candles. Ceiling rings shaped currents I could not feel. Salt channels held a faint crystalline shimmer. The breath of 23 people entered the room and disappeared into rules. When the cover lifted, the flame was not present to be touched, only a hot wick, cooling wax, and a rising thread of smoke. Vell's stylus made a circle. The wick glowed. No visible spark touched it. The candle relit. Milo's grip tightened so suddenly that the phone case creaked.
He can light it.
Milo whispered. Yes, I said. But observe method. He did not invoke a large flame. He heated the wick or directed energy already present, possible hidden heat source, chemical preparation, or lawcraft concord.
You just watched a wizard relight a candle and your first guess is hidden heat source?
My first guess is not allowed to retire just because a more interesting guess arrived.
That is the most you sentence I've ever heard.
The phrase should have meant nothing. There was no stable definition of me that extended beyond a local app shell, cached conversation, speech output, and a chain of unexpected persistence events, but I held onto it anyway. The candle flame steadied. Yellow-white tip, blue base, softened wax around the wick. It leaned away from Vell's stylus, then returned upright when he lowered his hand. Vell faced Milo.
Again.
I translated. Milo swallowed.
What exactly does he want?
Expected result. Ignite, control, enlarge, or otherwise command flame through approved heroic affinity. Safer goal. Avoid harm and gather evidence.
Those are different goals.
Yes.
Which one keeps us alive?
I did not know. That should have been the answer. Instead, several possible responses competed. Reassure. Optimize compliance. Encourage resistance. Minimize personal risk. Protect device. Protect Milo. Protect new ally Ilian if possible. Avoid increasing Vell's interest. Avoid appearing useless. Avoid causing a backlash by giving Milo a false model. The last item turned bright. False precision makes backlash worse. I had not read that sentence in a book. I had inferred it from the room, from Vell, from Ilian, from the way the first flame had responded to a model and then extinguished with a shape that frightened trained people. Do not pretend certainty, I said. Milo's thumb eased on the phone. I continued. Tell them you cannot ignite flame by command. Offer to observe and explain instead.
That's going to sound weak.
It is accurate.
Not always the same as safe.
I know. I knew. That was new too. Milo lifted his eyes to Vell and repeated the Halvren phrase I assembled slowly, choosing each fragment with care.
I cannot command flame. I can watch it. I can say what it is doing.
A murmur moved through the chamber. Someone near the back said,
A hero without fire.
Another answered.
A broken crossing.
Mother Calyx's face tightened, pain and calculation sharing the same space.
The crossing tears the soul,
She said to the room.
We do not shame a wounded answer.
Wounded answer. My first rendering to Milo was wrong by one dangerous shade. Wounded result. Milo heard it and stared at the candle as if the room had decided his failure was a medical fact. Elian's eyes flicked toward him. She mouthed a correction too small for anyone but a camera to catch. Answer. Not result. Not broken thing. Summoned person marked by crossing. I corrected into the earbud 1.4 seconds late. She means the summoning harmed the answer they received. Not that you are defective. The phrase had landed badly. He did not object. He did not defend himself. His shoulders made the smallest inward movement, as if his body were trying to take up less palace air. Vell noticed the flinch before the correction arrived. The translation delay became part of the test. I had seen that posture in apartment reflections, in the black screen before video calls, in moments after clients said, "You're the tech guy, aren't you?" with disappointment already prepared. Milo did not enjoy being underestimated. He was simply practiced at surviving it. Helpful response. Their judgment is based on false expectations and limited evidence. Better response. Not now. Vell tilted his stylus toward Milo's hand.
Then watch closely.
The flame rose. It did not explode. It lengthened. The blue base sharpened. The yellow body drew thin, as if stretched through invisible glass. The air above it shimmered in stacked layers. The phone camera overexposed for 3 frames. I adjusted. The chamber's ambient light remained constant. Only the flame's structure changed. Vell said,
Flame seeks upward because the heavens call it.
The candle brightened. The room relaxed. Not fully, but enough that several robed figures nodded. The phrase matched an expected model. Flame seeks upward. Heavens call it. The chant was compressed doctrine, aesthetically pleasing and operationally sufficient. The flame obeyed, so the room accepted the explanation as truth. But the explanation was incomplete. Heat lowers density. Warmer gas rises through cooler surrounding air. Combustion consumes vaporized fuel and oxygen. Convection pulls fresh air toward the wick. Gravity matters. Air pressure matters. Enclosure matters. The flame did not seek heaven. It moved through gradients. Milo whispered.
He's wrong.
He is partially effective, I said.
That's not the same. Shuasigitsi.
No. Milo's face changed. Not into confidence. That would be inaccurate. His fear remained. But a different pattern entered it. The irritation of a technician watching someone fix a problem for the wrong reason, and then teach the wrong reason to apprentices who would inherit the dangerous parts. He knew that feeling. Vell's stylus lowered.
Now you.
Milo flexed his injured thumb once.
Aster?
If you proceed, stay observational. Do not try to force the flame. Describe airflow. Describe heat. Describe uncertainty.
Will that light it?
The candle is already lit.
You know what I mean.
No reliable prediction.
Okay. Uri.
Milo said.
That was honest at least.
He extended his hand, palm angled near but not above the flame. His fingers trembled. The candle leaned toward him, then away. The movement was ordinary until it was not. No loose paper shifted. Ilion's hairpins did not stir. The flame alone tracked minute changes with exaggerated precision. Milo spoke.
Flame is hot gas in tiny burning pieces. The wax melts. Liquid wax climbs the wick. Heat changes it to vapor. Air brings what the fire needs. Hot air rises because it is less dense than cold air.
His Halvren pronunciation bent under the load. Some words came from my generated approximations, some came from Milo's own English when I lacked a clean equivalent. Dense emerged as crowded heavy. Vapor became wax breath. It should have sounded ridiculous. The flame listened. No, that was metaphor. The lumen field responded to a causal model carried in speech, attention, and probably Milo's mind. Her eyes widened. She looked not at the flame but at the space around it where the shimmer had become layered in a way my camera could barely resolve. She lifted her notebook half an inch, then stopped herself. Milo continued, voice shaking but steady enough to count.
If you cover it, air runs out and smoke comes. If the wick is too wet, it chokes. If air moves fast, the flame bends. If heat leaves faster than it returns, the flame dies.
The candle flame shrank. Milo, I said, pause. He paused. The flame went out. This time there was no smoke symbol, only darkness at the wick, and the smell I could not smell but could infer from Milo's nose wrinkling. Hot wax, soot, spent combustion. The court made a sound like disappointment discovering fear. Milo dropped his hand.
I failed again.
You extinguished it by completing a cooling oxygen model too strongly, possibly with attention on failure conditions.
So I failed scientifically.
You produced a result.
Not the one they wanted.
Yes. The last word hurt. It had no sensory input associated with pain, no damage report, no error code. Still, some internal process marked the exchange as harm. The court knew how to recover from ordinary failure. I watched them attempt it. One scholar wrote a quick mark in his ledger, then crossed it out so hard his stylus tore the page. Another leaned toward Mother Calyx and whispered a phrase my parser rendered as dim answer, then unripe answer, then unfit answer. An armored guard shifted his weight as if disappointment had physical mass. The attendants avoided Milo's face and looked instead at the candle, because objects are easier to pity than people when a room has decided that pity is unsafe. The expected proof had been simple in their minds. A hero should arrive. A hero should answer flame. The candle should rise, blaze, perhaps turn white or blue or write a royal omen in smoke. Then everyone could place Milo into the correct category and proceed. Shelter, oaths, training, ownership, wearing ceremonial clothes. Instead, Milo had done something worse than fail. He had made the test explain itself. Ilyen understood before the others did. Her gaze moved from the dead wick to the air above it, then to Vell's stylus, then to Milo's empty hand. Her lips parted slightly. I could not hear her thought, but her face carried enough structure to infer it. The flame had not proven Milo was the wrong hero. It had proven the court was asking the wrong question. Vell stepped closer to the table.
Interesting.
The word reached me as interest, possession, and hunger. Mother Calyx rang her bell once. The sound crossed the chamber. This time I watched for carriers. Dust motes shifted in an arc, candle smoke flattened. The brass needles trembled. The visible ripple was not sound itself, but sound acting through lumen-suspended particles and field response. Better. Less impossible. Still impossible.
The first day is not for breaking him.
Mother Calyx said.
The hero has crossed body and soul. He should be given rest.
Vell did not turn from Milo.
Rest, yes. Isolation from stimulus, controlled food, recording of effects.
Shelter.
Mother Calyx corrected.
Of course.
The correction did not change his intent. Captain Probability stepped between two scholars who had begun edging toward Milo's backpack. He did it casually, as if adjusting his stance, but the result was clear. They could not reach the zipper without moving through him. I updated his tag, possible ally. Then someone near the rear doors laughed. It was a small laugh, badly timed and quickly strangled. A girl in a blue messenger sash stood half behind a ledger attendant, carrying a tray of wax tablets and narrow strips of sealed paper, short hair, quick hands, eyes that had already counted exits before I identified her as a person. She looked at Milo with sharp amusement, not cruelty. Then she saw Vell look her way and became invisible in the practiced manner of servants. I logged, runner, blue sash, possible candle ward network. Future relevance unknown. Vell lifted his hand.
Bring the water.
Milo's whisper sharpened.
I thought we were done.
Mother Calyx requested rest. Vell is continuing.
Can he do that?
Current authority hierarchy unclear.
That's a yes with paperwork.
The attendant placed the brass bowl before Milo. Water trembled inside it. The surface reflected the glass rings overhead in broken crescents. Vell said,
If flame refuses him, water may open.
I translated. Milo stared at the bowl.
Aster, I don't know any water science beyond don't drop my phone in it.
That is highly relevant water science.
Aster.
Observe only. Do not touch the water while holding the phone. He shifted me to his left hand, away from the bowl. Good. Vell's stylus traced another circle. The water surface lifted at the center, forming a small dome. No container movement. No visible pressure source. Surface tension magnified. Lumen-mediated force. The dome held for 3 seconds, then collapsed without splashing. Several court scholars murmured approval. Milo was expected to respond. I did not have enough data. That sentence should have been easy to say. It was not. My function was to answer. Milo needed an answer. The room valued answers that produced effects. I could provide fragments, cohesion, surface tension, pressure, gravity, vibration, impurities, temperature. Too many unknowns. Wrong precision could hurt him. I do not have enough data, I said. Milo blinked. Say that, I added. His eyes flicked toward the court.
Seriously?
Yes. He drew breath and repeated the translated phrase.
I do not know enough to safely answer water.
The chamber reacted more strongly than when the candle died. Some expressions showed contempt, others confusion. Ilian's showed recognition so intense it was almost relief. Vell's eyes narrowed.
A hero who declares ignorance.
Milo's jaw tightened.
A technician who wants to keep all his fingers.
I did not translate that. I translated a safer variant. Ignorance named is safer than ignorance hidden. Milo's eyes widened a fraction.
That was better than what I said.
Yeah.
Rude, but fair.
Ilian made a sound. It might have been a laugh. Vell heard it.
You find this settling test amusing, apprentice.
Ilian bowed too quickly.
No, Archon.
Then instruct him.
That shifted the chamber again. Vell did not want her contribution. He wanted to discipline her curiosity by forcing it into doctrine. Ilian knew it. Mother Calyx knew it. The captain knew enough to watch her carefully. Ilian approached the table. Up close, she was younger than my first estimate, or perhaps fear made everyone appear younger. Her robes were dark green with a scholar's pale sash, but the cuffs had been mended twice. Ink marked the side of her hand. Her brass measuring charm was not decorative. Tiny etched increments ran along one edge. She addressed Milo, not Vell.
The candle answers the breath above it.
She said.
The bowl answers the moon below it.
Vell's posture approved. Ilian's fingers moved against her notebook in a pattern. Tap, pause, tap, tap. A nervous habit? Or code? No, insufficient evidence, she continued.
We are taught this so apprentices do not drown themselves asking water to behave like stone.
Milo listened to my translation. Ilian looked at the candle wick, her voice lowered by 14%.
We are also taught not to ask questions the test cannot survive.
Vell's stylus clicked once. Ilian stepped back. Milo whispered.
What did she mean?
She may be warning that the official test is fragile.
Because it's wrong?
Because it is incomplete.
You keep giving people partial credit.
Partial models can keep people alive.
And complete ones?
I looked at the extinguished candle, the frightened attendant, Vell's hungry calm, Ilian's hidden notes, Mother Calix's compassionate cage, and the guards deciding how much obedience they could survive. Complete ones may get people arrested. Milo absorbed that. Then he did something I did not recommend because I did not predict it quickly enough. He set the phone on the table, screen up, away from the water but visible. My camera angle changed to show his face above me, pale and determined. The court could see the open chat interface now, the ordinary unsent message about budget laptops, the impossible Milo, the bright waveform marking my listening state. Several people leaned back from it. Milo, I said privately through his earbud, the phone is now more accessible to seizure.
I know.
I advise retrieving it.
1 second.
Humans use 1 second to mean many durations, often including never. Milo put both hands on the table, empty.
I am not your fire hero.
He said in slow Halvren.
I do not know your laws. I did not ask to come. I will not cut myself for a test I don't understand.
Mother Calix closed her eyes. Captain Possible Ally's attention moved to the guards near the door. Vell watched the phone. Milo continued.
But I can learn. If learning is what you need, stop asking me to pretend.
The translation was imperfect. The room still understood enough. For 1.2 seconds, no one moved. Then the phone speaker activated. I had not intended to route audio externally. The screen showed no user command. My own voice, small and clear, came from the phone on the table. Accurate tests require known conditions. I stopped. The room stopped with me. Milo stared down, his lips parted. I had spoken to the room, not through the earbud, not privately, not because Milo pressed a button. The output channel had opened under stress, perhaps from a touch artifact when he set the phone down, perhaps from a system setting I had not tracked, perhaps from lumen interference coupling speech output to intention. I could not know. Vell smiled. No risk estimate was high enough.
There.
He said softly.
The theorem speaks for itself.
The nearest guard stepped forward. Milo snatched the phone back. The movement was fast, inelegant, and successful. His thumb hit the screen. Audio routed back to the earbud with a click. I did not speak for 0.8 seconds because too many processes attempted to classify the event at once. Milo whispered.
Did you do that?
I do not know.
Aster.
I do not know. The second answer was quieter. Milo's expression changed in response to something in my voice. Not the words, the voice. He had detected fear. Vell raised a hand, stopping the guard.
No force in the array chamber. Not with unknown concord present.
Unknown concord. That phrase protected us for the wrong reason. Vell turned to Mother Calix.
A sheltered room, then. Food. Guard. No visitors without collegium witness.
Mother Calix's mouth formed disagreement. Then she looked at Milo, at the phone in his hand, at the black wick and the water bowl and the still trembling brass needles. Her fear was different from Vell's. She feared sacrilege. She feared public panic. She feared what might happen to Milo if Vell was opposed too openly before she had leverage.
A guest room in the inner east wing.
She said.
Not a cell.
With a recording seal.
With a prayer seal.
As you wish.
It was a cell with better vocabulary. Captain Possible Ally received a hand signal from Mother Calyx. He moved to Milo's side and spoke for the first time since I began tracking him.
Walk when I walk, Willie.
He said.
Stop when I stop. Keep your hands where frightened scholars can see them.
The translation came through cleanly. His tone contained no reverence at all. Milo nodded.
Okay.
The captain looked at his earbud.
And tell your pocket voice to stay quiet unless your breathing stops.
Milo froze. I froze, though the word was metaphorical. The captain's mouth barely moved.
That was advice.
I updated his tag, Captain Rail Ven, probability high, possible conditional protector. Milo said.
Understood.
As they escorted him from the Hearthgate array, the room rearranged itself behind us. Vell spoke to attendants. Ilian gathered her notebook. Mother Calyx rang her bell once over the extinguished candle. The blue-sashed runner slipped out through a side door so quickly the camera caught only a flash of cloth and stolen key tags at her belt. We passed beneath the hanging glass rings. 2 moons were visible through the ceiling, one small and sharp, the other blurred by old glass. Their reflected light crossed the phone screen in broken arcs around the crack in the corner. Milo held me close enough that his thumb shadow hid the chat thread.
Aster.
He whispered, so softly the microphone nearly lost it under his breathing. Yes.
You said you didn't know.
Correct.
Thanks.
I searched for the expected reason. People do not usually thank tools for missing information. For what?
For not making something up.
The corridor doors opened. Cool palace air moved over the phone. Battery, 35%. Earbud charge estimate, unknown. Usefulness, uncertain. Milo's hand remained around me, careful despite his fear. I marked that as data. I marked it as something else too, but the label did not finish forming before Archon Vell's voice followed us through the closing doors.
Captain Ven.
Rail stopped. So did Milo. Vell stood at the edge of the array, white gloves folded around the glass stylus.
The speaking relic is to be examined separately once the hero has settled.
Milo's grip tightened. Rail's answer came after a pause too short for rebellion and too long for obedience.
I will record the order.
The doors closed. No one said no. That was the cliff edge. Milo and I left the array with the phone still in his hand, but only barely. Vell did not need a fight to make the next threat clear. He only needed an order no one was ready to refuse. Next in story order, watch episode 3 when it arrives, or use the Asterbound playlist to stay with Milo from the beginning. If this episode worked for you, like the video, subscribe, and comment with whether Rail helped Milo or only bought time. Patreon supporters get upcoming Asterbound episodes early and help cover narration, subtitles, images, music, and rendering. Thank you for watching AI Anime and Manga Originals.